Hello again. Hope everybody's doing well. Rita Oliver here, the money strategist, CEO and founder of Strategies, Options, and Solutions. And welcome to my YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. Here is where you can get all information on retirement. What I specialize in is educating you with financial strategies so you can achieve retirement readiness. I help simplify the complex in retirement planning. And I want to talk today about a key component in retirement planning. If you've been following me here or you follow me on other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, you probably have seen me doing reels where I talk about it's really only two factors that determine if and when you can afford to retire, and that is money and debt. We know we definitely have to have money and we do not need any debt. That's how we simplify the complex in retirement planning. You need to have more money and zero debt. Some people would disagree with me on the debt, but I am entitled to my point of view and my opinion. And that is my opinion that you cannot have any debt in retirement because that is how I have had a successful retirement for the last 3 years and will continue to have a successful retirement. So let me talk to you about debt. Okay? You've got to understand the burden of debt. You really do. We've got to understand that. Now, granted, when we first get started in our careers, as we start moving through life, doing different things in life, we acquire debt. Usually for cars, definitely for mortgage. Probably in school, you had some student loan debt. And then, of course, in school, those free credit cards were given out, just putting your signature on the piece of paper. I remember that on the campus of Mississippi State University, getting those Citibank cards. And we did all that stuff. So debt using as a form of payment to make a major purchase or a small purchase. And then as we started our careers, we started to either buy real estate. We got a mortgage. So that was debt as well. And then we may have upgraded our cars. And then we probably also acquired more credit cards. Because, I can remember having more store credit cards. You just had a store credit card for everything, for every store there was out there. And then, of course, now, I don't know about other people, but for me, I've just come down to just a few, to just two major cards. That's it, for anything that I need. I don't see the need for all the other stuff. But about debt, debt can stay with us and debt can harm us. As I've said several times, debt is like an albatross. It's a brick on your back. And what we've got to do is break free from these financial chains that debt has on us. Because debt can be very overwhelming, but you got to have the right plan in place and you can take control of your finances. When you have a lot of debt, you are not in control of your finances. You are on the financial edge. Most definitely. Most definitely. Depending on how much debt you have. And as things have changed and times have changed and things have gotten bigger and better and greater, so has debt in America. People are carrying mortgages while they're working $700,000, $800,000. My first mortgage was 80 grand in the state of Texas here where I live. $80,000. And then my second mortgage was when I bought my second house was about 120,000. And of course, I am so thankful that the home's value has appreciated today, but I did not take 30 years to pay off my home. And when you look at $700,000 financing that, you really need to look at the real number of that. Anytime you're going into debt for long term, the interest, the cost of borrowing, is going to increase what you're going to pay for that amount. When I look at my house when I bought it, my second house here, and I'm still in it, I've been in it now. As a matter of fact, at the end of this month will be 25 years that I've been in my home. And when I look at that, what I mortgaged, what I took the loan out for, if I had stayed with that for 30 years, I would have paid 3 to 4 times what I financed. And that's what we're not looking at. We're not looking at the true cost of borrowing, the total cost of ownership, if you will. But we have a choice, because when we sit at that table signing the mortgage papers, they tell you there's no prepayment penalty if you pay it off early. But we never think about paying it off early. All we're concerned with is that we can afford the payment, that we can afford the monthly payment. So, and that's where we have been conditioned to just care about that and not about paying it off. And if you think back to your parents, my parents, they paid their mortgage off. People paid their mortgage off. People that bought houses in the 50s and 60s, they paid their mortgage off. They had a burn in the mortgage party because they were free and clear. And we're not doing that today. We are staying in houses 7 years, selling them, upgrading, selling, upgrading. Housing has become a commodity to the point now that, real estate is so expensive and there is no more affordable housing. And that leads deeper into this conversation about debt, is that as people are continuing to, purchase homes, you continue to purchase. Come and run into people that said they've had 7 houses. That's so much to me, because really what you're doing is just starting over and over each time. You're starting over a new note each time. That's all that you're doing. And I want to come to this concept on that with the mortgage, the auto loans, the credit cards, on this with debt. That is something that you're going to owe. And as you continue to stay in it, making those payments, all you are doing, yes, you're owning your home, but you're also paying an enormous amount of interest. So when you look at a $700,000 loan, and if you pay 3 times that, that's $2.1 million that you have paid for that house if you take 30 years. Is a house even worth that? And what's so critical about that in the retirement arena is that it is critical that we get that home, get all those debts out of the way, those variable expenses out of the way, eliminate them at all costs, definitely reduce them before we retire. Because we have to look at both sides of the coin here. We've got less income and we still got these same expenses for when we're working. If we couldn't pay the expenses when we were working, how are we going to pay them in retirement? Debt can be overwhelming. It's a disruptor, a detractor, and subtractor of your net worth. Listening to me now, I want you to think about all your total monthly debt payments that you are making out of your net income. And then when you see that number, think about if you didn't have that number. Think about if you didn't have that number. The amount of money that you would have. So we've got to use debt very, very sparingly. And we've got to leverage it and get out of it. We need to use it, pay it, and leave it. Use it, pay it, and leave it. So you're probably saying, okay, well, that's just not true. Because a lot of times what people do, even when they go and retire, is go and purchase a new home. Well, that's possible, particularly if you're selling in a big market where you have a lot of equity in there and you're going to a lower cost housing market. You may be able to pay cash for the home and at least make a sizable down payment, and based on your retirement income, hopefully pay it off pretty quickly. Because see, when you don't have the debt in retirement, or don't have it when you're working, the amount of disposable income that you can use to build wealth. Your income is your wealth building tool. Debt is your wealth draining. It's wealth draining. Debt drains your wealth. Debt keeps you on the financial edge and the financial ledge. And we've got to get out of debt in America. $2 trillion on credit cards is what Americans owe. That is unsecured debt, meaning there's no asset they're going to get when those credit cards are paid off. Now, at least with a mortgage, you're going to get a home, piece of real estate, that if something happens, you can also take a home equity line of credit out, if you need to, you can sell it. But with a credit card, once you pay it off, there's no asset that you're going to get. There's no tangible asset. And of course, we need cars for transportation to move around, move about, go to work, go do this, go do that. But we've got to use it, pay it, and leave it. That's what we got to do with debt. Use it, pay it, and leave it. And you're saying, okay, I hear you talking. I hear you saying that. But how do I do that? This is how you do it. First and foremost, you stop incurring debt today. Stop incurring it today. That's the first step you got to do. You got to stop incurring debt. And then, of course, second thing is you got to take an inventory of who do you owe and how much do you owe. Do you even know? Because a lot of us don't want to look at it. So you need to sit and write down, I don't care if you do spreadsheet or pen and paper, because there's power in the pen and the paper, of who do you owe, what's the monthly, and then what's the total balance owed. And I bet you when you look at that total balance owed, that's going to really shock you. That's going to shock you. And then we need to then see if you have, say, maybe $5,000 or so, even a little more that you could maybe pull out of your savings and take care of some small debts that you have to get that out of your life and free up some more cash so that you could take that cash to apply it to paying off other debt. And as you pay it off, then now start investing that money and saving that money. Because what debt has done to a lot of you is that you don't have any disposable income to save prior to getting your paycheck, and definitely you don't have any after. Yeah, think about that for a second. You don't have any after. That's why it's so difficult for you for retirement. That when retirement comes, you're getting older, you're getting closer, 60, 65. It's time for you to get your Social Security, particularly in corporate America, even in the federal government. And you're looking at it and you're saying, oh my God, I don't have any money. It's because it went to all those debts those prior years. Those prior years. And you're still sitting there with a mortgage. Still sitting there with a mortgage. And you want to retire. And when you see the number from the retirement estimates, it's going to eat up everything. The mortgage and all those debts are going to eat up everything you have before you eat, and you can't even buy food or pay for your cell phone bill or the insurance on the car. Because in retirement, you still got to pay your basic living, and you got to start paying your homeowner's insurance. Well, if you've paid the home off and you have no debt, of course you can do that. But you still have to keep up the same basic living expenses. And if the majority of it is going just to secure the roof, the four walls and the roof over your head, what are you going to use for other things? What are you going to use to pay everything else? That's what I mean about getting out of debt. Getting out of debt to come out off the ledge. Got to come out off the ledge. You've got to put money away and contribute for retirement. That's the reason why a lot of you cannot contribute the maximum to your retirement account. It's because of the debt. You can't put the max in there. The max today is what? $23,500. So that's about $900 a pay period. And you're saying, wow, $1,800 a month. That's correct. But if you want that lifestyle, if you want to keep living and living well, we see inflation going up. You got to put that kind of money away. You're not going to put a little bit of money anywhere and get $1 million. If somebody's told you that, you better run away from them. You got to put substantial amounts of money in there, something like $1,800 a month. Get that 5% match. Have your great investment strategic allocation if you sit down with me, and you can have that money. You can have those 7 figures. That's not undoable. That's not. And even if you don't make it to 7, you make it to a substantial amount of money that'll last you for a lifetime. But what is so key is you got to get rid of the debt drain. Because that's what's happening with it. Debt is draining it all away from you. Every single month. You see it. You don't want to face it, but you got to face it, erase it, and replace it. Yes, you do. Yeah. You got to break free from the financial debt chains. Because that's what's happening. They got you. They got you. And it's preventing you from putting and doing what you need to do, contributing greatly to your retirement. In your 401k, in an IRA, opening a brokerage account. And even for some of you that say, oh, I want to get a real estate property. Well, how are you going to get it if you're sitting on a bunch of debt? Who's going to finance it for you? Because then all you're doing is putting another amount of debt on you. Another payment. Unless you're able to sell it pretty quickly. But still, you're going to have some holding costs just to hold it, even if you do an interest-only loan. So we've got to be more strategic here. And we've got to stop just looking at today, and we got to look at tomorrow. We got to have that balanced attack. We got to make smarter financial decisions to get retirement ready. And the most important financial decision to get retirement ready is to get out of debt. I'm Rita Oliver. I am the CEO and president of Strategies, Options, and Solutions. I'm a certified chartered retirement planning counselor, certified master coach, and certified wealth management specialist. I am educating those employees in the workplace on financial management strategies and retirement strategies so they can achieve retirement readiness and retire with confidence. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep following me here on YouTube and follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Let's get out of debt, y'all, so that we can get retirement ready.